The JuRY Daily podcast is brought to you, as always, by PayJuRyDaily.com. Oh, man, there are days and there are days. All right. Oh, my God. All right. We had a bunch of stuff go wrong. I've had to restart my computer a million times. We are here now, and that is all that matters. Sorry for those of you watching live. Normally, we got the chat down below, or if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/JustinRobertYoung. We normally have the chat there for you. The chat is always a very important part of the show. I am still watching it, but we don't have it there. If it's an audio podcast for you, congratulations. Nothing's changed. Now, one of the coolest things that I like about this format is that it's shorter. I've never really done anything short before. I've never really done anything like 15 to 20 minutes on a regular basis. So it gives me the opportunity to do some fun stuff guest-wise. I can bring people on, and because they know me, I won't have to, it won't be a hard sell to be like, hey, can you do a couple minutes with me and do it on the phone, which is why I'm going to bring on right now my co-host on Night Attack. You know him from the Modern Rogue, Scam School, Brian Brushwood. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, sir. Hey, man, I have no idea whether or not I'm coming through. I'm on the headset, and in the background, I'm still listening to an audiobook, which I'm turning off now. Everything good?
Everything is good. Everything is great. And considering I just went through total tech hell to get this show on the air, I think it is par for the course that is how this begins.
Right on, man. So, so Twitter, just one big happy, huh?
Well, let me ask you this. Because this is the main thing that we're going to talk about today is we are, Brian, consider you and me, we are the homicide cops because there has been yet another attempted murder in the culture wars.
Yeah, dude, it's, listen up, kid. We got another case of whatever the serial murder is. They went and found some bullets in somebody's past and managed to get somebody real upset. It's a real crime, I tell you. And this time, the casualty is the creative genius of Dan Harmon saying, you know what, this is more liability than fun. I'm out, Twitter.
So, yeah, that's the story, if you are unaware, is that Dan Harmon has left Twitter and was facing a situation where he might have to, face repercussions. I mean, this is the same, climate in which James Gunn was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy for very inappropriate comments he made a very long time ago. But this was the story yesterday. Rick and Morty co-creator leaves Twitter after 4chan and far-right spread old offensive skit. The skit in question was a 2009 Channel 101 sketch, a spoof of Dexter called Daryl, wherein he was spoofing the edgy nature of the then-new Dexter, where you take somebody who is patently the least likable person on the planet, a serial murderer, and make them the protagonist of the show. In his version, to heighten it, he was a baby molester. This involved him actually pulling down his pants and humping a baby doll. It should also be mentioned that he deleted this fairly soon after posting it back in 2009, as that was the first year of Community. But let's be honest, Brian, we don't really care about what the subject matter was, right? We care about the fact that there are two sides of a culture war, and it's about time that one side got the medicine that they had been dishing out, or so the point of view seems to go.
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing that deeply disturbs me is the justification for this seems to be, other side was doing this, and first of all, I don't even understand the two sides, but whatever. The this whole idea of
Oh
there
no,
being new rules.
the two sides are actually fairly easy to understand. There was this thing, I don't know if you were paying attention, an election that happened in 2016. It was deeply divisive, and now people are either thrilled with the outcome or upset by the outcome. So that's pretty much the line in the sand. Best I could understand it as somebody who has been paying attention to it.
Sure, sure, but I guess I don't know. Is there anybody who loves this who thinks that this is a good discourse I, I oftentimes I can understand at least the appeal to a certain thing. And I can understand, okay, well, I disagree with their implementation. I disagree with how it came out, but I can understand what they're aiming for and why they think that is good. And the most generous interpretation I could give right now is that the winning side of an election, the one who got their wish and their guy is now the president of the United States, somehow feels disenfranchised and in an effort to punch upward, just wants to use what they perceive to be the tools that were used to rob some of their favorite people of their voice against other people.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Oh, I mean, you nailed it. This is about let's make the left define the left, right? The left play their own game. This is what we have gotten from. And by the way, the person that we read his email yesterday gave me credit or gave me permission to read his name, or at least his pseudonym on Twitter is Sinestro. But let me, just for Brian's sake, let me read back a little bit of what he said yesterday. I'm a lifetime Republican, and this kind of deplatforming BS hits people on my side all of the time. I think it's crap, and I'm opposed to it. But the left wing will eviscerate a conservative on the thinnest of pretexts. If we want to end this BS, we have to make it hurt for the leftists as well.
That's maybe try again, Sinestro, because it sounds an awful lot like what you're saying is the only way to stop this cycle of back and forth use of the same tools and legitimizing one tribe's set of what we universally agree is a fairly unfair way to attack another side is to use that in exactly the same manner. I don't know of many examples in history where the outcome is, oh, well, you did a thing and then we did the exact same thing back to you. I guess we're even now. And we never used that tool again. I don't think that's a real thing. And I think that it, on the face of it, sounds a little bit absurd that I don't even know that Sinestro believes those words as he wrote them.
Well, no, I think he believes that that everyone should understand this is a thing, and that therefore, for every James Gunn that gets fired, for every Dan Harmon that has to leave Twitter and has to have a decision somewhere right now, but believe you me, right now there is somebody in Turner headquarters in Atlanta that is having a conversation about Dan Harmon's bare ass humping a baby doll, right?
Well, and the funny part is, like, yeah, whatever, the execution, maybe it was funny, maybe it wasn't, I haven't seen it, but it's pretty clear that the satirical heart of it is, hey, world, isn't it a little gross that we're celebrating a guy who murders other people? Here, let me give you a thought experiment of what it might look like if we celebrated something equally, if not more, horrific.
Something even worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, I watched the video. It's better off deleted. I mean, like, as a fan of Dan Harmon, I feel like, you know, there are some times where you're like, well, you want to know what? That's a better dinner conversation than it is me with my pants pulled down humping a baby doll.
Yeah. Well, so what is the right solution here, right? I mean, number one, did they do anything wrong? And I think and this is where I dip into, you know, if anyone cares about my opinion, is it morally okay to do what they did? I guess. I mean, in general, I tend to come down on the side of telling the truth. And if what they're doing is telling the truth at an unopportune time. And, it's a fact that Dan Harmon did that or whatever.
Well, I mean, but is it the truth? Because the truth is he deleted it in 2009. The truth is that James Gunn deleted all those tweets. The truth is that James Gunn apologized for a lot of the stuff that he had written in the past, and his capitulation on that was well known. It was done in the papers. It was covered when he first got hired. So it's like
so this sounds like you're pitching a case of unfair double jeopardy, where it's like they were already exonerated in the court of public opinion. They already proved that they moved beyond it, and so instead, in the attempt of those who are, I think disingenuously making a big deal about this, is really an attempt to retry them for the same crime that they either, in the case of Dan Harmon, pleaded guilty to and deleted his tweets, or in the case of James Gunn, full on had a trial and ended up deleting his tweets.
Here's my point. And yes, I'm going to do the dreaded both sides. So everybody get ready to be upset with this. But I find it gross that you are cherry picking things and taking them out of context, things that may have been deleted or that they might have regretted doing almost immediately after they first did them, for Dan Harmon, for James Gunn. And to be totally honest, I find it kind of queasy when they go after the advertisers for Laura Ingraham and Breitbart. Because I don't think that I've watched enough Laura Ingraham to know that she's not a absolute demagogue. Yeah, she's right wing, but she's not somebody that is asking for pitchforks and a moral. You might think that politically she is not cottoning to your views, or Breitbart is not cottoning to your views. But I've read a lot of Breitbart. Are there things that push the line? Sure, but there are things that push the line in a lot of facets that I can just kind of tune out because that's the kind of platform that they are. I think when fans of something think something goes too far and they want to protest, it's one thing. When non-fans, specifically in a political agenda where your only point is to silence voices on one side or the other, that's really gross to me.
Yeah, this is and again, it's. I prefer to speak about this in the abstract because I don't ever want to be in the position of, the tweets should not be judged on whether or not they were funny. They should not be judged whether or not they are reflective of what they currently believe, because or suspected to believe. Because I think it's pretty clear that Dan Harmon, if you listen to anything he's ever said, not in favor of molestation of children. James Gunn, not in favor of pedophiles or whatever. So all that really matters is what is in their heart. And instead, what this is clearly the kind of play that an artist without a voice who seeks a platform makes early on. Early on, there are very few levers that an artist can pull. One of them is to say or do something transgressive. And yes, sometimes they'll land in history. We'll judge them well, like, wow, it sure was transgressive to do a sit-in for this, a racial equality thing. Congratulations, you transgressed, and history judges you kindly. The vast majority of transgressive moves don't end up being judged well, but it doesn't matter because the vast majority of artists never win the tournament and become anybody who's important at all. But those who do win the tournament and those who do reach a station of power, when you go back and you look at those transgressive things that they did, oftentimes it's a bad look. And I understand. And the right move then is to say, I am not who I was then. I disclaim that. We saw John Lennon do that. We saw all kinds of artists. Yeah. John Lennon, who casually, may have been involved in a brawl that left a dude murdered or accidental manslaughter or whatever. But there's no doubt that he got to a place where he espoused peace and love and in general was very much a different person later in his years. And if we're going to play this game, that's like, yeah, but you said that once, and no, you're not allowed to explain it. No.
Yep. Brian, you there?
Sorry. If we're going to play this game of no, you don't get to revisit it and explain it through the lens of being an adult. No, you don't get to explain it. The fact is you said these words and you're guilty of whatever it is you're being accused of being guilty of. That really bums me out, and that feels like such an illegitimate play in the court of public ideas that and there's no way to stop people from making that accusation. The onus is on everybody else, all the bystanders, to say that's out of bounds. Hey, is the question, does Dan Harmon secretly love raping babies? Well, luckily, here's Dan Harmon. He's alive and well, and we can ask him.
You can ask him.
You know?
By the way, a Strike It Rich here in the chat room says, I don't remember Kevin Spacey being charged with any crime, and 25 years later, the statute of limitations has long passed. I think that there is a difference if the accusation is actually doing the thing versus making a joke about the thing. At least for me. That is a line here. Hey, Brian, you want to do the emails real quick with me?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Nathan on YouTube wrote in. So, Brian, we've been talking about Papa John's. What is your take on Papa John's pizza?
What was the Onion article saying? Like, there was some NFL guy, and his wife was saying, like, look, man, Papa John, I know he's down on his luck, but he's been on our couch for 6 weeks. You got to get him out.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to feel totally educated about it.
No. I'm talking about the pizza. Do you like the pizza or not?
No, too doughy, too fat.
So
I used to be a Papa John's guy. Now I'm a Domino's guy.
But that garlic dipping sauce, though.
You know what? They do have that powder. That powder that you have to pay extra for. That cocaine, garlic cocaine, I think they call it.
Wait, they have garlic cocaine?
I mean, pretty much. They call it special seasoning sauce, and you can't ask for it for free. You ask for it, and they say, but we're going to charge you. And you're like, all right, give me the garlic cocaine. Also, I want everybody to start calling it garlic cocaine and see if they just casually
record themselves and put it up on YouTube of you ordering garlic cocaine from Papa John's. Nathan wrote, the garlic sauce is fine. Honestly, though, just give me a container of ranch dressing in the pizza and we'll call it good. I'm going to assume that Nathan is from Iowa. David from Denver wrote, I weirdly agree with your emailer solely on the persecution of James Gunn. This is the Sinestro email that we read yesterday, but not of the strike back at the left mentality. I'm glad he was willingly approved the backlash Gunn is facing. I don't think Gunn should get any sort of pass for anything he said 10 years ago. Yes, Gunn may have changed, but he made the short-sighted choice as an adult, and every choice has consequences. Sorry if Gunn's consequences might be more severe than if I said something similar, but it doesn't mean he should get a pass. To me, using the political correctness tactic is something our society needs to grow and mature into somewhat more inclusive. James Gunn and so many others represent an example to others to understand what we need to consider, how we need to consider what we post, say, and do seriously, as there are serious consequences to our actions. Political correctness, to me, is a guideline to reform a lacking social etiquette that desperately needs improvement.
That is a fine sentiment if you truly believe each individual person has the ability to predict what society will think is appropriate and the most and least important things to make change in the distant future. Unfortunately, nobody does, and that's not the case.
Well, it's also kind of weird when Twitter started out as like literally the joke about Twitter was you're taking a shit and you're writing, and now it's the Holy Bible. Like, well, and nobody saw that coming, right? Like,
right,
it was
right. I mean, that was the whole thing. Is that on your great list of like I have something to say. Twitter was the last place that you bothered to think to say it if it was important. If it was garbage and you knew it was garbage, then you posted it on Twitter. And but you could not have predicted the way Twitter words are evaluated in the future. You could not have predicted the fact that in a scant 20 years you'd see the repeal of prohibition of marijuana and the allowing of gay people to get married and the shifting of cultural attitudes. And I don't think it's fair to have somebody who is not that person. Quick side story. I've spent a lot of time thinking about Macaulay Culkin. He's a cool guy that came out and was very, very fun on the show.
Yeah.
Modern Rogue. I'm shocked at how many of the comments are obsessed with the things they heard he said and did that were incongruous with the image of the way they prefer to think of him as a 10-year-old boy. He's not a 10-year-old boy. He's a 37-year-old man.
In fact, he is no more a 10-year-old boy than any of us. We also were 10-year-old boys. We were just 10-year-old boys watching him in the theater.
Right. Well, and that man has to, and I think he's done it with a really, he's done as good as I can imagine in as healthy a way as anyone I can. He thinks of that time as he's like, look, I'm not that person. I barely remember what that was like, but I am certainly, he thinks of it as his inheritance, right? It's nice that people know my name. It's nice that they barely recognize me. It's not so nice that I'm such a popular target for clickbaity stories. You know, you take a picture of me when I'm a little bit lighter than I should have been, and then start, you know, making accusations of drug use or whatever. He lives with that all day, every day. And if you think that is, if you look at the way the world treats Macaulay Culkin, and your first thought is like, that's a great way to be treated, and I think everybody should have to be treated that way, then by all means, you now have moral consistency if you're in favor of whatever this weird-ass everybody gets to be a witch hunter game that's being played is. But personally, I don't think it's great. I wouldn't wish that treatment on anybody, least of all anybody I liked or loved, and certainly not on myself. And I don't think I think that any level of participation, whether it's your guy who's winning or losing, you need – the only way the game stops being played is if all of us, the consumers, indicate that that's beneath you and I'm not going to participate. That's the only way. So we've done it before.
All right. Willard wrote in, we had mentioned here, Brian, that I prefer the term titty bar to gentleman's club because I feel the gentleman's club is gender exclusionary. It was then brought up to me that you can't say titty bar in the workplace, so we've been looking for workplace-friendly, gender-inclusive names for strip clubs, which might be strip club, but we'll move on. Willard from, I forget where, email, wrote Rack Lounge or Jug Hall. What do you prefer, Rack Lounge or Jug Hall?
Well, those are also, if the problem is those may not be gender specific, but they're also specific about a type of taste. I would prefer Flesh Market or Flesh Buffet because that's a little more accurate.
Well,
right?
you know that it's funny. It's funny because we had Stephanie on the Friday Hype Train that also made the point that because I kept thinking, no. Well, there is always for the market going to probably be separate places for however you define the genders of men and women up on stage, right?
Sure.
And so I was looking for the one with the females up on stage, but you both now it's been mentioned twice, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we have to take this in a new direction. Hot beverages.
I don't know though, but like Booty Bar has a sound to it. I like that.
Booty Bar also, yeah. Booty Bar's been brought up. Hot beverages says I'm so proud of you, but not in that dumb way the double clicks think it means. And then here was this final thing, Brian, that we'll get you out on. We were talking about the double air kiss. What nationality or culture do you assign to the double air kiss?
Yeah, sure. I think as a child I always associated it with a French thing, but then I got older and noticed it more in Middle Eastern culture. I'm feeling like I don't know.
I had kind of always known it as
demonize me for that.
I have kind of always known it as a European or Hispanic thing. We got 2 Mexican emails on this. Emilio on YouTube wrote, JuRY, I know I've been a fan of yours for years. The thing I enjoy about your insights and discussions are the long-form rants. I think what I'm trying to say is the show is too damn short. Sorry. Also, I'm Hispanic, Mexican, and we don't do the double kiss. But then I got an email from Everett that says cheek kissing is definitely a Hispanic thing, and if it helps, I'm white and I live in Mexico. Well, Brian, of course, you have the Modern Rogue on YouTube, Scam School on YouTube, and we do
Yeah, man.
Night Attack.
Look, I'm changing the locks on the compound right now. I went to Home Depot.
Oh, did you? Did you get any gift certificates?
You know what? I did sign up for a Home Depot card. I got $100 off.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, @Shwood on Twitter. Anything else you want to get out?
No, man. Just keep following our crazy shenanigans. I think you guys are going to like it a lot.
Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for JuRY Daily. Email, jurydaily@gmail.com. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, @JustinRYoung. Write your comments down below, and we will read them on the show tomorrow. Until next time. Friends, this is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, saying, please, don't.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.